Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a technical pro spending your days managing complex Salesforce environments, I don't need to tell you about the universal pain of trying to track down exactly who broke what inside your org. It's tedious, it's incredibly time-consuming, and honestly, it just drags you away from the actual building and problem-solving you want to be doing. So today, we're exploring a highly specific, highly effective solution called Salesforce Sentinel. The whole theme here is super simple: how to radically save time on your setup audits without sacrificing even a single ounce of security.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the native setup problem. Then enter Sentinel. After that, we're going to cover the security story, which I know is top of mind. Then reclaiming your time, and finally, who is this for? Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The native setup problem. A truly click-heavy reality.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've all been there, right? A critical integration just completely fails, or a user suddenly can't access a flow they literally use every single day. Boom! You're forced into this click-heavy nightmare. To find out who changed what, you have to navigate deep into setup, dig all the way down to the audit trail, and then you just wait. You're sitting there staring into the void of a spinning wheel, waiting for the page to load. And when it finally does, you're stuck manually scrolling and scanning this totally flat table with capped date pickers. I mean, if you're hopping between orgs, this agonizing manual process easily eats up 3 to 5 minutes just for one lookup. But with Sentinel, it is a completely frictionless approach. It's one click from your toolbar, you search your terms, and boom, you are done in seconds.
Section 2. Enter Salesforce Sentinel, a seriously powerful Chrome tool.
So what actually is this tool? Well, it essentially takes your org's setup audit trail, that massive log of every single configuration change, from new fields to permission updates and flow edits, and it transforms it into a clean, highly searchable table right there in your browser. Let's look at the core capabilities straight from the code base here, no marketing fluff. First up, multi-org detection. It automatically scans your open Salesforce tabs, whether that's production, a sandbox, or scratch orgs. You can just easily pick which one to inspect, assign them nicknames, or even hide specific orgs entirely. Next, you get incredibly flexible data polls. You can look at a specific date range, from just today all the way up to 6 months back, or you can switch to a record count mode to pull, say, the latest 100 to 250,000 records. Then there's the smart caching. This is really cool. Results are cached locally per org and range with tiered time-to-live settings. That ranges from 5 minutes for today's data up to 72 hours for a 6-month pull, meaning you aren't constantly hammering the API every time you check. Add in the ability to search, sort, and filter by section, user, or free text across all fields, and wrap it up with a highly requested CSV export for compliance handoffs, and you've got a real game changer.
Section 3. The security story. Let's talk about keeping your org safe. Now, if you're an enterprise professional, this next part is absolutely crucial. It's the most important section for you. Let's just address the elephant in the room right now. This is a third-party browser extension, and it's asking for permissions to your active Salesforce environment. Any good admin or architect is immediately going to throw their hands up and ask, wait, is this actually safe for my org?
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how Sentinel handles your data. Let's break down this architecture with complete transparency. First, the data flow. It is 100% local. The extension calls Salesforce's own REST API directly. Literally nothing goes through a third-party server. Next up, read-only access. The SO2L query it runs is exclusively a select statement on the setup audit trail. There is zero write, update, or delete capability anywhere in the codebase. You couldn't break something with this if you tried. Finally, storage. All that smart cache data we mentioned earlier, it lives exclusively in chrome.storage.local, which is safely sandboxed right into your browser profile. It's never synced to the cloud, and it's never transmitted anywhere else.
Now, in the spirit of radical transparency, there is one honest caveat you definitely need to be aware of. To make all this work seamlessly, Sentinel does require access to read your live side session cookie from your already logged-in browser tab. And anyone auditing the code will know that this is effectively your live session token. It's powerful stuff, but here is the absolutely crucial point to remember. It is only used to make that single, read-only query directly to Salesforce. It doesn't ask for new auth, it just safely piggybacks on the session you already have open right then and there. If that session expires, the tool simply can't fetch data. The token is never stored, it is never logged, and it's never transmitted outside of Salesforce's own API. Period.
So just to build on that trust and really hammer this home, here is a definitive list of hard no's, things the extension deliberately does not do. There is no write access to the org whatsoever. No data ever leaves your browser. There's no account you have to create, no annoying login wall to get through, and there's absolutely zero telemetry tracking your usage. It literally does one specific job locally and securely.
Section 4.
Reclaiming your time. Let's talk real-world ROI.
Okay, so we've established that the security architecture is rock solid. Now let's talk about the real-world return on investment here, 10 to 30 seconds. Remember those agonizing minutes it usually takes to manually check the native audit trail? Because Sentinel sits right there in your toolbar and intelligently caches results, you can execute a search and filter everything in just 10 to 30 seconds per lookup.
Let's quantify what that actually looks like over a standard work week. If you're doing, say, between 5 and 10 audit lookups a week, which is incredibly common, by the way, if you're managing integrations or actively investigating bugs, the native UI is going to drain about 30 minutes of your time. Sentinel drops that down to roughly 3 minutes. That translates to reclaiming 20 to 40 minutes of your life back every single week. And look, if you're right in the middle of a high-pressure active incident investigation where you're desperately checking multiple orgs back-to-back, that reclaim time isn't just convenient, it's absolutely crucial.
Section 5. Who is this for? The roles and the workflows.
Let's break down the specific workflows that stand to benefit the most from this. We can basically segment the main beneficiaries into 4 key groups. First up, admins and architects. If you're managing multiple orgs, like a production environment alongside several sandboxes, and you suddenly need a quick answer to, hey, did someone change this permission set? Well, this is custom built for you. Next, we have RevOps and go-to-market admins who just need incredibly fast root cause visibility so they can keep the sales team moving. Third, security and compliance reviewers. If you're doing periodic configuration change audits, that CSV export feature is going to give you instant, formatting-ready evidence. And finally, consultants and contractors. If you are constantly juggling several different client orgs, this saves you the massive headache of having to re-navigate setup every single time you switch context between clients.
Let's actually walk through a rapid day-in-the-life scenario for a RevOps professional. Step 1. You inherit a vague, panicky, something broke ticket from a user. Step 2. Instead of clicking through endless nested setup menus, you just do one single click on the Sentinel toolbar icon. Step 3. You use a simple free text search for the affected field or user. And step 4, you find the root cause instantly. A process that used to be a major disruption to your day is now just a minor footnote in your morning.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Think about it. If you could completely eliminate the friction of auditing setup changes and get up to 40 minutes of your week back with absolutely zero security compromises, what would you actually build next with that reclaimed time? It's a fascinating tool, and I highly encourage you to see how a streamlined, localized approach to data can completely change how you manage your Salesforce environments. Keep learning, keep building, and thank you so much for joining me to explore the mechanics behind Salesforce Sentinel.